Hello, and welcome back to the English Journey podcast. I'm Tom.
And I'm Emily. Tom, let me ask you and our listeners a question. Have you ever wondered why you always reach for your phone the moment you wake up?
That's a great question. Or why it's so hard to quit smoking even when you know it's bad for you. And on the other hand, why is starting a good habit like exercising regularly so difficult to stick with?
That sounds so familiar. It's like when I promise myself I'll go to bed early, but then I end up scrolling on my phone until 2 a.m. The next morning, I just blame myself for having no willpower.
That's exactly the feeling so many people have, Emily. And it all comes down to one thing: habits, especially those bad habits. We know they're not good for us, but it feels like some invisible force is pulling us to do them anyway.
Exactly. It helps to think of our brain as an energy-saving machine. It's constantly looking for ways to turn repeated actions into automatic routines, so you don't have to think too much about them.
It's like brushing your teeth in the morning. Do you remember every single step you took? Squeezing the toothpaste, brushing the left side first or the right? Or did your brain just switch to autopilot and get it done?
That's right. Habits help our brains save energy, and according to neuroscience, every habit, good or bad, is built on a very specific framework. It's called the habit loop.
So, in today's episode, we're going to break down this topic for you in three main parts.
I'm ready. Let's dive in.
Okay, so for our first part, we need to understand what a habit really is. Basically, it's a behavior that we repeat so often that it becomes automatic. The brain builds habits to save energy.
So my brain is being smartly lazy. Instead of actively thinking about everything, it creates these little automatic programs to run on their own.
Exactly. And biologically, the part of the brain responsible for habits is called the basal ganglia. It's a very old part deep inside our brain that specializes in handling repeated behaviors.
That's fascinating. So there's a specific habit center in my head?
There is, and here's the interesting part. When you first learn a new behavior, like driving a car, your brain uses its prefrontal cortex. That's the part for logical thinking and decision making. But once you repeat that action enough times, the prefrontal cortex hands over the job to the basal ganglia. That's when you can drive without thinking about every single step.
Right. And that automatic program you mentioned runs on a simple three-step process. This is what scientists call the habit loop.
Correct. Step one is the cue. This is the trigger that kicks your brain into automatic mode. It could be a feeling like stress or a specific time like 3 p.m. at the office.
I get it. So the cue is like a switch that turns the habit on.
Precisely. Step two is the routine. This is the actual behavior itself, like reaching for a cigarette or opening Facebook. And step three, the most important one, is
The reward. The reward? Like that feeling of satisfaction you get after scrolling through TikTok for a few minutes?
that's the one. The reward releases a chemical in your brain called dopamine. It makes your brain say, oh, this routine feels good. It solved the problem. Let's do this again next time.
Now, I've heard about dopamine. Many people think you only feel good after you get the reward, like you only feel happy after you finish eating the chocolate. Is that right?
That's a great point, and it's a common misunderstanding. The truth is, your brain starts releasing dopamine the moment you see the cue. It anticipates the reward.
Wow, really? So if I have a habit of eating snacks when I'm stressed, the moment I feel stressed, my brain is already giving me a little preview of the reward. It makes me crave that chocolate even before I eat it.
You've got it. That dopamine anticipation is what creates the craving, the urge. It's like a sweet little voice in your head saying, hey, go for it, you'll feel better. This expectation of a reward is what rewires our brain so powerfully.
So let's put it all together. You feel stressed, that's the cue. Your body might release the stress hormone cortisol. You then eat a chocolate bar, that's the routine. instantly, the sugar helps your brain release dopamine, and you feel better. That's the reward.
Perfect summary. Your brain learns, when stressed, eat sugar to feel good. And so the loop repeats. Over time, this loop gets carved into your basal ganglia, creating what you could call a neural highway. Your habit is now fast, automatic, and extremely hard to change.
And that is why changing a habit feels like such an uphill battle. It makes so much sense now.
It does. And in our next section, we'll explore how to deal with this challenge.
Okay, Tom, that all makes sense. Habits are automatic programs. But if we know a habit is bad for us, why is it so difficult to stop doing it?
That is the big question, Emily, and there are four main reasons. The first one is something we've touched on. The brain loves efficiency. Breaking a habit requires our rational captain, the prefrontal cortex, to wake up and take charge, and that uses a lot of mental energy.
Right. So the brain would rather stay on the automatic, energy-saving road than take the difficult, high-energy exit.
Exactly. The second reason is the power of dopamine and craving. This is where it gets really interesting. The reward doesn't just feel good after the action. More importantly, it creates a powerful craving the moment you see the cue again.
So when you see the cue, your brain is already anticipating the reward and releasing dopamine, creating that intense urge to act?
You got it. That's why the smell of coffee in the morning can make you feel more awake even before you've had a single sip. That feeling, that's the craving at work.
That makes so much sense. What's the third reason?
The third reason is that the old neural pathways are deeply carved. Think of your old bad habit as an 8-lane superhighway. It's smooth, fast, and easy to travel on. A new habit? That's just a small dirt path in a forest. It's rough and hard to walk on.
And to build that new habit, you have to clear the path and walk it every single day until it becomes a real road. Meanwhile, that big, easy highway is always right there, inviting you back.
A perfect analogy. In biology, this process of building new pathways is called neuroplasticity. The connections for old habits are very strong, and it simply takes time to weaken them and strengthen the new ones.
Okay, that's 3 reasons. What's the final one?
The final reason is the battle between two different systems in your brain, System 1 and System 2.
System 1 and System 2? What are they?
System 1 is your fast, automatic, emotional system. It operates from the basal ganglia, the habit center. It's your gut feeling. System 2 is your slow, logical, deliberate system. It operates from the prefrontal cortex. This is where your willpower lives.
Let me guess. System 1 is stronger?
It's not always stronger, but it's always on. The key is this. When you are tired, stressed, or distracted, your System 2, your logical brain, gets weak. And when that happens, the emotional, automatic System 1 takes over.
Ah, so that's why after a long, tiring day at work, I choose to lie on the sofa and scroll on my phone, which is a System 1 win, instead of going to the gym like I promised myself, which would have been a System 2 choice.
That is exactly it. When you're low on energy, the emotional, automatic system will almost always win. Understanding these 4 reasons is so important. When you fail to change a habit, you can stop blaming yourself. It's not that you have weak willpower, it's just how our brains are naturally designed to work. And now for the most important part of our episode. We've understood the science, we know why it's hard, so how do we actually hack our brains to change?
Yes, the action plan. I'm ready.
The core principle is this. You don't eliminate a bad habit, you replace it. This is the most important thing to remember today. You can't just delete a habit.
So, going back to our metaphor, we can't destroy the neural highway, but we can build a new, better exit ramp and trick the traffic into going there?
That's a brilliant way to put it. We keep the same cue and the same reward, but we change the routine in the middle. This brings us to step 1. Identify your habit loop.
Right. So first, I need to be a detective and understand my current loop. What is my cue? For example, the cue is lying in bed at 11 p.m. What is the routine? The routine is picking up my phone to scroll social media. And what's the real reward I'm getting? The reward is a feeling of relaxation and distraction.
Excellent. Now for step 2. Change the routine, but keep the cue and reward. This is the golden rule. You can't eliminate the cue of being in bed at 11 p.m., and you still want the reward of relaxation. So the question is, what new routine can you do?
Ah, I see. So I still need to relax, but instead of scrolling, what else could I do? Maybe I could read a few pages of a book or listen to a calming podcast?
Perfect. Those are new, positive routines that give you the same reward. Next up, step 3. Redesign your environment. Your environment determines so much of your behavior. The goal is to make the bad habit harder to do.
For example, I could charge my phone in the living room overnight instead of next to my bed. That makes it much harder to just reach for it.
Exactly. And that leads to step 4. Start small. This is the secret from the famous book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Don't try to change everything at once. Start with a change that is so small you can't say no to it.
So instead of setting a goal to read for 1 hour, I should start with read one page? That feels so much more achievable.
It's so small you can't refuse, and that's the point. Now for step 5. Be consistent and patient. It takes an average of 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. It can range from 18 to over 250 days depending on the person and the habit.
Wow, 66 days on average. So people shouldn't feel stressed if they still struggle after 21 days. It's normal to fall back into old ways. The key is to just keep going.
You got it. And finally, the most gentle but powerful step. Step 6. Forgive yourself. You will have days when you fail. That is completely normal and part of the process. The important thing is not to give up. Just start again the next day.
Absolutely. There are a couple of very powerful techniques you can use, but are there any other specific techniques or tips to help us successfully building new good habit?
Absolutely. There are a couple of very powerful techniques you can use. Have you ever heard of a technique called habit stacking?
Habit stacking. You mean like adding or stacking a new habit on top of an old one that you already do?
Exactly. That's a very effective technique. The formula is simple. After current habit, I will, new habit.
Oh, I like that. So, for example, right after I brush my teeth at night, I will read one page of a book. Or after I get into my car, I will listen to an educational podcast.
You've got it. Another great technique is creating an implementation intention. This just means writing down a very clear plan of action. The formula for this one is I will, behavior, at time, in location.
That's so specific. So I would say, I will do yoga at 6 a.m. in my living room, or I will read my book at 9 p.m. in bed. It leaves no room for confusion.
And that is the whole science of changing habits. Remember, success doesn't come from powerful willpower alone, but from understanding and applying how your brain actually works. We've been on quite a journey into the science of habits today. Before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize the most important takeaways.
Great idea, Tom. What are the key points everyone should remember?
I'd say there are 3 main things. First, habits operate in a simple loop. Cue, routine, reward. Second, change is hard for real biological reasons. Our brain wants to save energy, dopamine creates powerful cravings, and our old neural pathways are already built. And third, the key to success is strategy, not just willpower. You need to replace habits, not erase them. Start small and be patient with yourself.
That's a perfect summary. And to help all of you put this knowledge into action, we have a little challenge for you this week.
Oh, I love a good challenge. What is it?
We want you to apply what you've learned today. Here's the plan. Step 1, choose one habit you want to change this week. It can be a small one. Step 2, observe and write down its habit loop for the next 3 days. Really notice the cue, routine, and reward. Step 3, design a tiny change using the 2-minute rule. Make your new, better routine take less than 2 minutes to complete. Step 4, practice it for 1 week and just notice the results. No pressure, just observation.
That's a fantastic practical challenge. We'd love to hear how it goes for you all.
So, through our conversation today, we can see that changing a habit isn't a battle of willpower. It's a journey of understanding and intelligently negotiating with our own brain.
That's right. As the psychologist William James famously said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit.
Thank you all so much for listening to our podcast today. We truly hope that this knowledge will be a useful tool for you on your own journey of change.
Don't forget to follow our channel so you don't miss our next episodes. Goodbye and see you next time.
Bye, everyone.